I want to help people and I want to do a lot of good and I want to be around positivity and I want to share and not have everything be so transactional. And what I learned on Wall Street, and just to be clear, I wouldn't have changed a thing on my journey. I learned a lot there, became a man there. I learned discipline, and there's a lot of skills that were transferable for me. But there's also a lot of lack of integrity. Everything, for the most part, is very transactional. There's usually an agenda. I just didn't resonate any longer with the consciousness as I began to spread my wings and grow and become more spiritual. I just didn't have as much in common with the energy over there. And for me at that time, it was time to do something a little bit more meaningful with my life.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Business Lunch Podcast, and today's guest is Craig Siegel. Craig, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm doing phenomenal. No place in the world I'd rather be than right here with you. Every time we get together, it's magical. Let's have some fun.
Well, I don't know. You said you just got married, so if I'm you, I think I'd probably rather be on a honeymoon than here with me. As much of a honeymoon as it is, of course, to be with each other.
We had a little bit of a honeymoon, more like a mini moon. After the wedding, we didn't really want to think too hard, so we just went to Bahamas for a little bit. We're gonna probably book Greece for a couple months out. But I'm glad to be back. When you love what you do, you don't really want to leave it for too long, and nobody knows that better than you. So definitely an exciting
That is absolutely true.
Married. I got the New York City Marathon in 2 weeks, which I'm training for, and business, but all good things, all abundance, not overwhelm.
You have had we did your podcast before and the CLS experience, right? And
Right.
you have had kind of an interesting career, starting in the world of Wall Street and then kind of getting into motivation and drawing on your experience with marathons and stuff. Would you give people a little bit of kind of the quick entrepreneurial journey that you've been on so far?
Yeah. So I spent 13 years on Wall Street. And I was making money, and at that season of life, that's what I basically define success as. And I was doing the stock thing, trading, and that became very stressful, and I didn't love it anymore. And so I left that, and I started my own company, was supplying businesses across the country with working capital, loans, and so forth. Pretty trendy industry, very lucrative, but wasn't exactly lighting my soul on fire. And so, look, we're going to spend about a third of our life in our career, another third sleeping. So you better love what you do. And it occurred to me that there was a lot more to success than just making money. Is it possible that you can connect to your purpose, find what you're called to do, share your unique gifts with the world, and make a lot of money doing so? And as it turns out, you can. And so when the pandemic happened, I shut down my office for what I thought would be 2 weeks at the time. I think that was a good opportunity for the whole world to just take a second and reassess. Something I know now to be so productive, if I'm being honest, that was kind of a forced pivot for me. And when I got really quiet and connected, I was able to be that channel and start getting those downloads. And I realized just how obsessed I'd always been with personal development. And so I put together a whole strategy, kind of created like a 10-lane highway. I like to be very strategic, 10 different ways to make an impact and also unapologetically make money. And so I was thinking coaching, community, speaking, book, podcast, TED Talk, etc. And then I reverse engineered it. And at the time, I had no following, no connections, no celebrity friends, nothing. I said, what's step one? I said, let's start putting out content and sharing and building a personal brand. And so I started my CLS brand. For the first time in my life, I was in alignment. Universe definitely like that. Left Wall Street for good. I'm a big believer in, for me personally, can't really have a safety net. I need to be all in and shift my energy. And I say very humbly, over the last few years, it took off and never had more fun or made more money.
So what did you do on Wall Street?
I was trading for a while, stocks,
Okay.
broker.
And what drew you to that? Like, what caused you to be interested in moving in that direction in the first place?
The truth is when I graduated college, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know, but I was ambitious, did live in New York, and I was always fascinated with stocks. So I thought that would be a good place to start.
Okay, yeah. If you don't know what you want to do,
Yeah.
pick something that interests you, right?
Yeah.
What did you discover about that caused you to want to do something else?
I want to help people and I want to do a lot of good and I want to be around positivity and I want to share and not have everything be so transactional. And what I learned on Wall Street, and just to be clear, I wouldn't have changed a thing on my journey. I learned a lot there, became a
Sure.
man there. I learned discipline, and there's a lot of skills that were transferable for me. But there's also a lot of lack of integrity. Everything, for the most part, is very transactional. There's usually an agenda. I just didn't resonate any longer with the consciousness as I began to spread my wings and grow and become more spiritual. I just didn't have as much in common with the energy over there. And for me at that time, it was time to do something a little bit more meaningful with my life.
Sure. Yeah, and it's a good message when you start to feel that way, right? That I think a lot of people are, and so your reinvention formula uh, is that based kind of on the experience that you had of getting to the point of feeling like you needed to reinvent yourself?
Yes.
Okay.
So we did a TED talk, and I was looking at some data just recently, and I saw an alarming stat that probably wouldn't surprise you. And that was that only 20% of Americans are actually finding purpose in the work that they do.
Yeah.
And I was actually a part of that other 80% for a very long time. And so a lot of people gravitate towards me to help them with entrepreneurship or coaching or spirituality because they've seen what we've been able to do in a relatively short amount of time compared to most people. And I want to show people that there is, in fact, something more for you if you feel called to it. But how do you identify what your purpose is? How do you
Mhm.
become available for your next level? And then how do you marry that with business strategies, which no one's better than you, and get practical with the spiritual and create something really special?
Hmm. And when a lot of people, I think long ago it was people, most people lead lives of quiet desperation. I think that's still true for that 80%. They are living in, either imposter syndrome or unhappiness place or whatever. What would you, or how do you advise them, and tell me if you do or don't in the book, um, to make the move away from the thing that isn't giving them the joy and happiness and fulfillment they want to do the next thing? Because I think fear stops so many people from doing that.
I couldn't agree more. Fear is an interesting thing, and it's important to cultivate a healthy relationship with fear. Yeah, in the book, we talk a lot about this and what inspired me to do this and how I did it. I think a lot of people relate to this topic, probably why it became a Wall Street Journal best-selling book and so forth. And so that's good news for everybody that maybe is in a season right now where they're not super inspired or excited about what they're doing and they feel like there's more out there for them. I think
Mm-hmm.
there's a couple steps. There's typically a barrier in between where you are and your next level. And that barrier, as you just attested to, is typically fear and doubt or insecurities. Once in a while, we'll get a glimpse of what our next level is and what our courageous action could be. But that barrier makes us feel very uncomfortable and really not safe. And that's the thing. You mentioned fear. A lot of people get glimpses of what they could do or what they might be good at, but then it's the fear of rejection, the fear of looking silly, the fear of judgment. What if I fail, and so forth. And so, what is the next step? Right? Let's make this practical. Well, the first step is, are you open for your next level? Right? If the answer is yes, if you're listening to this and we're really resonating with you right now, then to get a little spiritual, tell the universe, whatever your thing is, God, Jesus, Creator, that you're open for your next level. I would be available for it. And then part two, which is arguably more important, is once you declare that you are open for your next level, do you have the willingness? The willingness to go out of your comfort zone, to try new things, to take some messy action, to look a little silly. If you don't have the willingness, you're probably not going to stay inspired. But the universe is yearning to see your willingness. And I believe once you have the willingness and you step into that discomfort, that could be your portal to expansion. You can convert that, and the universe will typically open up doors, create opportunities. You'll meet the right person, a download will come or something. But that's on the other side of stating that you're available and then having the willingness to take the uncomfortable action.
You talk a lot about limiting beliefs, which I'm a uh, I think such a fascinating subject. Um, what are the limiting beliefs that keep people stuck?
A lot of ones that I see are as follows: it's too late, I'm too old. Who's going to want to listen to me? It's a saturated market. I can go on all day. But I
Can
think,
I
go ahead.
can I want to run something by you in this context. I just read a friend of mine sent me I guess it's an email that was kind of going around virally, and I wish I had it to read, but it was along the lines of this guy saying, "I'm 46 years old. I just my wife just told me she wants a divorce, and that she's been cheating on me for 10 years. I have no relationship with my son. When I was 20, when I was 20, I was popular. I had the world ahead of me. I had written 70 pages of my novel. My dream, I had already been to the Philippines and New Zealand or someplace backpacking, and my dream was to do that all over the world. And then I became a provider, and now my son doesn't know who I am. My wife, leaving me, cheating on me. I have nothing. Don't make the mistakes I've made and waste your life." This is a guy who's 46, who's basically going to make the same mistake he made when he was 20 because he thinks his life is over. And so he's living a life of regret now. And so are a lot of people who are like, if only I'd have gotten on the bus, if only I had done that one thing. So contextualize your answer with that too, because like I literally see that happening all the time around me, and I know that you can help those people.
Your consciousness creates your reality. So if you think at 46 that it's over, then maybe it is.